Welcome to my channel where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election. In this video, I want us to look at the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Senator Kashim Shettima. This man has become known for the use of uncut language in describing his opponents. And now he is getting his common pass. He's getting his common pass because it has been long overdue that he has been allowed to run riot with his mouth. And now he's being, let's use the word of President Muhammad Buhari. He's been responded to in a language that he understands. And that's what I want us to talk about. Because there is a need for candidates to ensure that they address issues instead of personalities. Because when you address personalities instead of issues, that is when problem will start. And that is why it's advisable that presidential candidates should emulate the presidential candidate of Labour Party. His decency, his comportment, his tendency to always address issues instead of personalities. In fact, he runs the race. His running of this race reminds one of Obama's presidential race in 2008, where Obama showed a lot of decency despite all the attacks from the Republicans and other right-wing elements in the United States. Now back to Kashim Shettima. Kashim Shettima, as I said, have been using sometimes unprintable words to describe his opponents. And he started this thing much earlier when he was the DG of the presidential campaign of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when Bola Ahmed Tinubu was still seeking for the ticket of the APC to become his running mate. In one of those outings to promote Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Kashim Shettima took Vice President Yemi Osibanjo, who was also a contestant in that race, to the cleaners, appearing on television, Channels Television. They asked him about Vice President Yemi Osibanjo. Now, this is what he said that trended at that time. He said, Osibanjo is a good man. He is a nice man. But nice men do not make good leaders because nice men tend to be nasty. Nice men should be selling popcorn and ice cream. That was what he said about Osibanjo. So Osibanjo is not qualified to be president of Nigeria, having been vice president. So somebody like him is a nice man. Nice men are not supposed to. They are nasty. Nice men tend to be nasty. Nice men should be selling popcorn and ice cream. So that's what is befitting of Osibanjo, not the presidency of Nigeria. And we all remember how that thing trended. There were a lot of photoshopping of Osibanjo riding bicycle, selling ice cream and popcorn and all that. Of course, eventually they succeeded, especially using the religion against Osibanjo that he hates Muslims. They eventually succeeded in making sure that he doesn't get the ticket. And that's why Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerged. And to the shock of many Nigerians, but not to some of us who have read it, his body language, he announced a Muslim ticket after much delays, and the Shettima was the beneficiary. So Shettima emerged the vice presidential candidate of APC. And he has continued in the same light of using uncut language to drive his campaign instead of addressing issues. And in July this year, this is what Shettima said about peterobi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. He said that peterobi could best be a president in Igbo land and not a Nigerian president. You can see the audacity of that kind of statement. He said that peterobi could best be a president in Igbo land and not a Nigerian president. So what he was saying was that an Igbo cannot be president, and peterobi cannot be president of Nigeria, he can only be president of Igbo land. As if Igbo land is a country separate from Nigeria. And that thing he said also drew condemnation from his fellow Northerners. There's a group known as Arewa Youth for Peace and National Development. Because of that his statement, he was removed as their patron. The national president of the group, Mohammed Gwadabe, described Shettima's comment as provocative and perceived bigotry. It was exactly what it was. So that is Shettima for you. And he keep on going. He keep on going. And they are cheering him up. Now, look at what he said the other day at the dialogue between the APC presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and business leaders in Lagos. It was another opportunity for Kashim Shettima to throw shade at people, to ridicule his opponents instead of addressing issues, instead of telling Nigerians in clear terms what they can do better than the rest. It was an opportunity to insult, to ridicule his opponents. And this time around, he took two leaders, major contenders, to his principal, to the cleaners, in his own imagination. Look at what she said. He said, leadership is not about glamorizing poverty. We don't glamorize poverty. We fight it. Leadership goes beyond spewing statistics or basking in the mediocre performance of the former governor of Anambra State. So that was the shade he took on peterobi. He said that they don't glamorize poverty. They fight poverty. But when I went to go and check his record, I discovered that poverty got worse in Borno State under his leadership. When he became governor in 2011, 66% of Borno people are living under poverty. By the time he was living, after 8 years, in 2019, poverty rate in Borno State had increased to 72%, over 72%. So does that show you a man who fought poverty in Borno and who want to come to Abuja to fight poverty nationwide? He fell woefully, if that is what he understands as fighting poverty. And his record as Borno State governor cannot be compared to peterobi. I don't even want to go there because so that I don't digress. Okay? It is himself that run a mediocre governorship uh, administration in Borno State, where under their leadership, majority of their people were under the control of Boko Haram. Chibok girls were kidnapped, and so many terrible things happened, resulting to over 2.5 million IDPs and over 100,000 deaths. So that the kind of record is bringing to Abuja as a national leader. So, but that's by the way, but it just show you the kind of person he is, the way he uses language, which eventually caught off with him very recently. Now look in that same program, look at what he said about Atiku Abubakar. I respect Atiku Abubakar, but the leadership goes beyond ranting. Someone who can't unite his own party, I wonder how he will unite the country. Of course, Atiku Abubakar cannot unite his own party because his inability to manage the issue of yes or weekend camp shows how, of course, that he cannot unite the country. Okay, but the same thing applies to his party. His presidential candidate could also unite the party. Many northern Christians in the party have left the party. He has divided the party. Bola Tinubu has divided the party along religious line. A lot of the anger is within the party, and is going to show in this election. So Bola Tinubu couldn't even bring Christians and Muslims together in APC by the choices that he made. So they are all deceptive. But that is not even a major issue that I take with his statement. Where I was particularly concerned about is that when he began to take shades on Atiku Abubakar, saying that the ability to sell bottled water doesn't make one an expert in economy. Atiku Abubakar isn't Abraham Lincoln. Next year, we are going to permanently retire political tourists back to Dubai. Now, this is where it becomes personal. When he was talking about that Atiku could not unite his party, that is an issue he was addressing. But when he talk about Atiku and Dubai and begin to talk about selling water, doesn't make one an expert in economy. He has gone beyond politics. Selling water means that Atiku is an entrepreneur and he creates jobs. So it is not something that anybody should be mocked. Atiku should be celebrated for that. Atiku should be commended for having confidence in the economy and putting his money there in a water company. But this time around, he got his common pass because after Shettima said this about Atiku, and when I read about these things, I put it out in my Facebook. I said, the way Shettima is going, somebody need to respond to him to shut him up. If not, he will continue until he do a greater damage. And that was exactly what happened when the PDP responded to him. And now I can tell you that Kashim Shettima will not be sleeping very easy these days, because things that they don't want to be brought in the public domain are now back in the public domain. And before I tell you that, if you are new to my channel and you have not yet subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. Now, Kashim Shettima got his common pass when the presidential spokesperson, one of the spokespersons of the Atiku presidential campaign, Senator Dino Melaye, issued a statement where he took Shettima to the cleaners. And that thing that people are scared of saying, people are being civil to say, he said it. And now it will become an issue that will be one of the things that Nigerians will consider before they vote for the ticket of Aswad Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is what Dino Melaye wrote, the statement he issued, which is already in all the many papers. Of course, some papers didn't carry it, okay? Because a lot of papers these days see some important news, they wouldn't publish it because of one editorial interest or the other. Now, this is what Dino Melaye said in his statement, responding to Kashim Shettima on the shade he made against Atiku Abubakar. Dino Melaye wrote, and I quote, "Overwhelmed by the conviviality of a civil atmosphere, Kashim Shettima, the Grand Commander of Bandits and the running mate of the presidential candidate of the APC, who has gathered enough fund from his field soldiers to be so intoxicated as to engage in a verbal gibberish that is only permissible in Sambisa forest. He has been seen in a footage where he was exciting a rented crowd with whimsical pot slots at His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. It was the same hallucination that made Shettima to have defined an illusionary presidency where he would create an office for Boko Haram in the villa, with him in charge of the security of our precious Nigeria. The emergence of the garrulous, intemperate, and indecorate Shettima is another manifestation of the failure of APC, which after weeks of shilly-shally to fill the slot of a running mate, ultimately settled for a rustic J. June, whose concept of a suit is the sartorial equivalence of Barbariga. Shettima ought to be in jail to pay for the blood of innocent citizens and the deprivation that lawful Nigerians have suffered from his private army. Nigerians must reject Shettima and his gang, because Bob Marley sang, "No one can free us but ourselves." Now, what Dino Melaye did was to bring to focus the alleged link between Kashim Shettima and Boko Haram. Now, because of his own uncut language, Dino Melaye has now put him on the defensive. Nigerians are now going to wait for him to defend himself. Perhaps people have been shying away from talking about Boko Haram as it relates to the former governor of Borno State, who's under whose leadership Boko Haram overran many local governments in that state. Now, that issue will become on the front burner. Even those who are ready to vote for Tinubu, many of them will think twice now before casting their vote, because they will need some clarity. So what Nigerians expect now from Kashim Shettima is to respond to Dino Melaye, to counter him on what he said about his link as commander of the bandits. So it is what you get by not addressing issues, and you are addressing personalities. And now even the issue of Boko Haram is supposed to be an issue on its own. How did this country end up with the problem of Boko Haram? What is at the root of it? Why is it that it has not gone away for so many years now? And what can the new leadership coming up in 2023 do to stamp it out totally from the country? Unwittingly, Kashim Shettima has brought it to the front burner through Dino Melaye because of what Kashim Shettima, said about Atiku Abubakar. If he had maintained his campaign civil, perhaps the PDP would have been civil and not bring up the issue of Boko Haram into the discourse. And what we have now, the person that has come out to defend Kashim Shettima is one of the spokespersons of APC and former Minister of Aviation, Femi Fani-Kayode. And Femi Fani-Kayode, as you all know, is seen as a rabble-rouser, but he also is somebody who makes some points. Some of his points that are factual, that are verifiable, but even himself by now will be feeling embarrassed on what he said about people that he's not working for. Because if you go to Google now and check, Fani-Kayode that is defending Shettima from Melaye's linking of the former governor with Boko Haram, you see what Fani-Kayode have said about Shettima and Boko Haram. And that was when Fani-Kayode was on the other side, when he was in PDP. So that's why nobody will pay any attention to whatever defense that Fani-Kayode is now mounting for Shettima, saying that Shettima is not a commander of bandits. But that's job is now there for Shettima himself to address this issue. And this is what he brought upon himself by the kind of language he used against other people. You can see what he said about Vice President Yemi Osibanjo. You can see what he said about peterobi, that he cannot be president of Nigeria, he can only be president of Igbo land. That alone is enough for the law to take care of him under the Electoral Act, because he was trying to bring ethnicity into the issue. Peterobi is a bona fide Nigerian and he has a right to seek for the highest office in the land. Nobody can tell him that he can only be president of Igbo land. Nobody should tell him that. But that was exactly what Kashim Shettima did. Of course, he was condemned by even his fellow Northerners because they know that it was unfair and unjust, provocative, and bigoted statement that he made. And now, because of what he said about Atiku Abubakar, PDP has now linked him with Boko Haram, that he wants to establish an office for Boko Haram in the presidential villa if they win. So the ball is now in the court of Kashim Shettima to defend himself. He has now been put on the defensive. Nigerians are waiting to hear his defense from what the APC, what the PDP has alleged that it was his agenda, or it is his agenda, that he would do in the villa. If for any reason Nigerians, despite everything they are passing through, still return APC to the presidential villa in 2023. But we know that Nigerians are reasonable people. If this election is free and fair, there's no way APC will win. So while we wait for Kashim Shettima to respond to Melaye's allegation, because Nigerians would like to get clarification, the relationship between the vice presidential candidate of APC and the bandits. We need clarification. Nigerians will need clarification. We need to be told that it was not true, that Melaye lied. That is what we want to hear. And we want to hear the evidence why we should not believe Dino Melaye. And we want to hear it from the horse's mouth and not from Femi Fani-Kayode and other spokespersons. Because when Shettima spoke, he spoke by himself. He didn't speak through a proxy. So all eyes on him now. All eyes are on him now to respond to Dino Melaye, who spoke on behalf of Atiku Abubakar. And that is a lesson for our politicians, that when you are in glass house, don't throw stones. And if you want to be a leader, address the issues. Show the world how you are better than the rest, how you are better than your opponents. Don't take personal attacks. Don't embark on personal attacks on your opponents, because you never know what they will come against you. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel and you have not yet subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And do like our video and share it widely. When you like our video and you share it widely, more people will listen to it. And Google will also put our video among the top videos. It helps in giving us a good ranking in YouTube algorithm of Google. Thank you very much, and God bless you.